It's easy to use age or time as an excuse to stop you from getting in shape. So today I'm going to run you through a client case study. Lewis. He achieved this result just before turning 50. He's a dad, a business owner, and already extremely busy, and he was already going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, but not really seeing any results as such prior to us working together. So I'm going to explain the exact changes that we made to his routine and how he achieved that result in the first 16 weeks of coaching by not actually doing anything more. He was just more intentional with what he had to do. So let's get into this, and I'm going to work from the top down. First of all, Lewis was already training at least 4 days a week in the gym, doing some strength, a little bit of cardio along the side, and he already had a good baseline with this. In fact, a few years ago, he went through a period of running several marathons, and he managed to run 17 in total. So Lewis is quite fit, and he's got a good understanding of what he should have been doing. But where he was really struggling was his nutrition. Even if he was really active, and even if he was working out frequently, and even if he was seeing consistent progressions in his workouts, he wasn't really as consistent with his diet as he could have been. And Lewis likes to eat out frequently, so this is another thing that we had to factor into his plan as well. Now, in the first 16 weeks, Lewis dropped just over 10 kilograms, and this was really predominantly making a change to his diet. We looked at the way he was eating. I gave him some practical examples of really how to have less calories in some of the meals, but not necessarily less food, to also improve the overall nutrient density of his diet and focus on protein, fiber, and fat. So he recovered better in between his workouts. He noticed he was developing a bit more muscle tissue as he was getting leaner, and this had a massive impact on his physique as well as his confidence as he got closer to his end goal. And in terms of the strategy that we used, I just really looked at Lewis's diet in terms of how he already ate. And I said to him, look, I think you do these things quite well, but we should probably have more of this and less of that. I went away and put this inside of a meal planner and gave it back to him to help him reportion the way he ate. And from there, he then actually went away and used this for ideas, but he decided tracking calories alongside of it would work really well for him as he's quite data driven and he likes to see the numbers. All this information got inputted into the app, and I provide him with a feedback every week. He also knew that everything that was going in there, I could physically see. So there was that element of accountability to make sure that he was hitting his targets and keeping to the plan. And of course, this consistency drove faster results. Now, we had a little bit of a time-bound goal. This result was a photo shoot prep. And as he progressed throughout the journey, there was obviously less time for him to try and make more progressions. So I gradually tapered it up. We started slow and we ended quite hard. And yes, it would have been harder for him to stick to as he had more steps, more cardio, and less food. But when you know there's only a few weeks left, it's easier for you to remain adherent and stick to the plan. So for Lewis, what worked really well is actually mapping this out and going, okay, here's what the first 16 weeks are going to look like, and here's what to expect throughout that 16 weeks. Physically and mentally, if things get harder throughout the journey, it's not the end of the world. It's a little bit of a challenge. You are trying to achieve a big result in a short period of time. And also you knowing that there's only a specific time frame that you're in that push phase for can physically and mentally make it a lot easier to stick to. And just remember, results themselves are rewarding. So sometimes if you're noticing that your appetite's a bit elevated or you're a little bit lower in energy, but there's only 4 weeks to go and your body's still changing very fast, it can be easier and quite motivating to actually continue to stick to the plan. Now, Lewis's training didn't actually really change much throughout this process. He continued with similar types of plans. I gave him feedback on maybe things that we could adjust and areas that he should focus on just to get a bit more of a well-rounded physique as he got leaner. But as a whole, that actually remained relatively similar. The biggest factor here was his nutrition, as I said, and also some of his habits that helped him adhere to the nutrition better. We focused on better sleep, stress management, some supplementation, and of course, improving the overall nutrient density of his diet. And all these things helped to suppress his appetite for him to actually remain more consistent with the diet and get noticeably leaner in a very short period of time. So hopefully you got a few takeaways from that. In summary, your diet is going to be key over the next few months if you're really looking at making a big visual change to your body. And like Lewis, if that is something that you have struggled with before, you're not alone. All my clients here on screen right now can also relate to this as well. So if it's something that you want more help with, then just tap on the link below this video. There's more information about the program, specifically what I do with my clients and really what to expect if we work together. And as always, I'm putting out content on this YouTube channel every single week for free that my clients actually pay for. So if you want more of this stuff, just like this video, follow the YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.